Hi, my name's Chris Dixon. This is Founder Stories. Today we have Dave Gilboa and Neil Blumenthal, two of the four co-founders of Warby Parker. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So maybe just for people in case they don't know, can you tell us what Warby Parker is?
Sure. So Warby Parker is a vertically integrated eyewear brand. So we created our own brand of eyeglasses and we sell them online at warbyparker.com for $95, including prescription lenses, which is a fraction of the price of what you'd pay for glasses in a retail store. Mm-hmm. And for every pair of glasses we sell, we distribute a pair to someone in need.
Oh, cool. And so how do you do it for $95? How do you do it so much more cheaply and still make a profit?
Yeah, so we started the company because we love glasses. We've been wearing glasses our entire lives, but we all had that experience where we lost a pair of glasses or we broke a pair of glasses and couldn't understand why they cost several $100s.
Yeah, it's just absurd. They're like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like you end up with like the film and all like the things they had on. They keep upselling you, and it's like $600 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we started looking into the why glasses are so expensive. It just didn't make any sense that this is technology that was invented 800 years ago. Why should a pair of glasses cost more than an iPhone? And we realized that the only reason why glasses are so expensive is because there's a handful of companies that control the entire supply chain. So there's one company called Luxottica that basically owns or controls all the brands that most eyewear consumers have heard of. So Oakley, Ray-Ban, Oliver Peoples, Persol, Arnett, they own all those brands. And they own licenses to most major fashion houses. So Chanel, Prada, Dolce & Gabbana, DKNY. None of those fashion brands actually produce or distribute any of their own eyewear. They just collect a royalty from Luxottica. Mm-hmm. They also own LensCrafters, Pearle Vision, Sunglass Hut, Target Optical, Sears Optical, a bunch of other retailers. And they own iMed, which is the second largest vision insurance plan in the U.S. And it's the same thing on the lens side.
So it's basically a cartel.
Exactly.
Like,
right.
Okay.
So they're keeping prices artificially high.
So it's like the OPEC of glasses or something.
Yeah, so they're literally marking glasses up between 10 and 20 times what they cost to manufacture. And so we, Neil and I and our two other founders, we were just buddies in business school. And so we said, well, what if we could create a model that sits outside of this artificial construct that these big companies have created, and create our own brand of glasses, do all the design in-house, source premium materials directly from suppliers, have our glasses made on identical production lines to the big guys, and sell directly to consumers online. We could cut out all the middlemen, not pay any licensing fees, retail markups, so we could sell the same product that normally costs $500 for $95.
Mm-hmm. And so you just get rid of all the dependencies then, so you just, by doing everything yourself.
Exactly.
And so you have no dependency on on Luxottica, is that it? So it's interesting because you guys, as I understand it, I think you spent a year and a half doing industry research and developing a business plan, and now are executing that plan. And from what I understand, is pretty much what you'd originally what you're doing now is very similar to what you'd planned to do. Is that right? Because that's somewhat unusual. Especially you hear a lot of talk about rapid iteration and pivoting and things like this, so it's sort of in that sense contrarian to the current startup trends.
Yeah, I think we had the opportunity to be actually at graduate school at the time, so we didn't have full-time jobs, and we were able to spend a lot of time sort of risk-free working on the business. And for us, it immediately made sense to build a brand, and that takes quite a bit of time, and you often only have one shot to launch a brand, especially a fashion brand. So we really wanted to have all our ducks in a row. While we did have this pretty robust business plan, of course, as soon as you go live, that gets thrown out the window. Yeah. We launched to features in Vogue and GQ. 2 days later, we were in Daily Candy before we had a chance to reach out to them. And we hit our first year sales targets in 3 years. In 3 weeks. And it was mayhem. So the business plan was helpful, but of course those projections go out the window. We sold out of our top 15 styles in 4 weeks and accumulated this wait list of about 20,000 people. But the fundamentals of what we wanted to do, which was provide exceptional value, create a fashion product that people could really identify with, provide great customer service, all of that has remained the same. So for us, we were literally at the computer lab at school, sort of complaining about the high cost of glasses. Couldn't sleep that night because we thought we had this, really powerful idea to sell glasses online, and sort of focused on what do we need to do to build this business. And the first thing was we need to make sure that the four of us commit to each other and going to work really hard as a team. So we actually went for a drink, all committed to each other that we were going to work really hard. We knew that, even though we had been at jobs that demanded a lot from us in the past, that launching a business would be like nothing else we had ever done before. We had also promised to each other that we were going to remain friends throughout the process, and we knew that there were a lot of very smart people who had started businesses together but had quickly, become, unfortunately, enemies. So we thought, what could we do to make sure that we had lasting friendships throughout the process, and knew that a healthy working dynamic would be the most productive and successful. So we literally would have monthly 360 feedback sessions in which we'd go back to the same bar. We would sit across from each other, put somebody in the hot seat. Hey, what are you doing well? What can be improved? When you shoot me a 10-page email at 2 in the morning, I want to punch you in the face. So we had all those frank discussions, and I think it allowed us to sort of build a very healthy working dynamic.
Interesting, okay. And that's worked out. I mean, so you guys are co-CEOs, is that right? And then you have two other co-founders who are on the board but aren't full-time.
That's right.
But
Yeah,
it sounds like
so the four of us, we were just buddies in school and knew each other pretty well before we started talking about this business idea, and really trusted each other, and we were all just fully committed to making this work. And as Neil said, we sat down and agreed that no matter what, kind of more important than the success of this business, we wanted to make sure that all four of us were still friends after after committing to starting this company.
Yeah.
And so we've really made sure that we have the proper communication channels in place, and that there's kind of no friction below the surface that kind of bubbles up. But yeah, when we graduated from business school, Andy and Jeff took other jobs, and Neil and I stayed on to kind of run the company day to day.
And how, I guess you guys aren't releasing, you said revenue figures, right? But I mean, how, can you give us some sense of how, I've heard rumors you're doing well, I don't know. I mean, like some proxy for revenue, or I don't know what, or some indication of how well you're doing?
So we launched February 2010, so exactly 2 years ago. Hit our first year sales targets in 3 weeks. Since then, 2011 was up 500% over 2010. We now have 60 employees. So yeah, we're sort of on this crazy trajectory, double-digit month-on-month growth. So it's been, a really exciting ride.
And how has that been in terms of you have 60 people? You're sort of getting to the point where it becomes a lot harder, I think, to preserve kind of the initial culture, right? I mean, like, how have you found there to be growing pains in terms of hiring people? And
yeah, I think we're just intensely focused on it. So I know that everybody always writes out the mission and the vision and the core values, but we've really tried to tie those core values to the interview questions and the structure for bringing people in. And actually 75% of our interview process is dedicated to personality and fit. We also, just the way we write position descriptions, and the way that we also structure the interviews to not only allow us to evaluate candidates, but allow them to self-select to make sure that this is the right place for them, is something that we're intensely focused on. In fact, later today we have a meeting about the onboarding process, and how when somebody comes in to the office, how do we make them feel welcome, immediately part of the team? How do we demonstrate what's important to us culturally? So on their desk, they'll often get a bag of pretzels from our favorite pretzel place in Union Square, Martin's Handmade Pretzels, that actually come from Pennsylvania, where we have the tie with Philly, where we launched the business while we were in graduate school. They get a copy of Dharma Bums by Jack Kerouac, from whom we got the name Warby Parker. Actually, his two early Jack Kerouac characters. They get a gift certificate to have Thai food with 3 other friends, because when the 4 of us were starting the business, the only restaurant that was open really late at night was a Thai restaurant that would deliver to us. So we tried to inject a little bit of the history of the company, but also sort of demonstrate, what do we expect? We expect you're going to have some really, really late nights, so you might have to order in Thai food. And we also, crave, special handmade artisan things like these particular pretzels that we think are the best in the world.
So, one challenge for, I guess, all selling lots of things, fashion-related things online, is, do they fit you well? And I guess it's a problem with glasses, right? You want to try them on. How do you guys deal with that problem?
Well, yeah, it was something that we always asked ourselves, will we buy glasses online? And yeah, the answer was not without trying them on. So we thought, is there a technological solution? So we licensed some facial recognition software that you could virtually try on some glasses, which we think is good, but we asked ourselves, using this tool, would that convince us and give us enough confidence to buy online? And we thought probably not. And that's where we came up with this idea to actually send glasses to people's homes for them to try on. So we have this home try-on program, the first of its kind in the US, where you select 5 frames, we ship it to you free of cost, and you have 5 days to try them on at home with no obligation to buy. And if there is a pair or two that you want, at that point you order them, we'll put in the prescription lenses and ship it to you. But for us, what it did was it eliminated that reason not to buy. It took risk out of the equation for the consumer, and then it even added a little virality to what we were doing, because people would often get these home try-on packages in their office, and people would huddle around it and say, oh, how do I look in these glasses? So it's ended up being this great marketing tool for us.
And we also had people, they get their home try-on, they'll take 5 pictures of themselves wearing the different glasses, and they'll post it to Facebook or Twitter. And so we're getting millions of free impressions from our customers, and providing a better customer experience because they're getting feedback from people that they trust opinions on, instead of a salesperson in a store.
That's cool.
And I think in general, we like to think of ourselves as like a customer experience driven company, whether it's in the digital or the physical world. And this was just a way for us to exist physically. And I think that we are constantly thinking, when we think about, are we an e-commerce company? It's like, well, actually we're a technology enabled brand, and we sort of will sell or interact with our customers wherever they want to. So one of the things that happened when we launched the company, we quickly sold out of our home try-on inventory stock. So we had all these people that wanted to try on glasses. They learned that we were in Philadelphia. They would call us and say, oh, can we come to your office? And we'd say, we don't have an office. You can come to our apartment. And we thought that it was going to be this really crappy experience because we had the glasses on the dining room table, but it ended up being something really special because the people shopping were actually meeting the people behind the brand, and that seems to be so rare these days, and they became some of our biggest advocates and evangelists. So now in our office here in Soho, we have a showroom, about 100 people come in a day. It's by appointment only, books up about a week in advance, and we've actually started to roll out these shop-in-shops and showrooms into boutiques throughout the country, but we still sort of marry the digital component where people still purchase the glasses through our website in an in-store iPad or iMac. So, we think that the future of retail is this intersection between e-commerce and bricks and mortar.
Interesting. Okay.